Hi, and welcome to our first zeroth podcast episode. I don't know even what we're going to call this. My name is Katrin. I'm from Switzerland. I'm a coach. I coach people and teams. And you are?
Hey, I'm Kitty. I'm also a coach, but I'm from the Netherlands and I coach organizations and teams in change. Because what I love best is working with people.
Awesome. And today's topic, our first topic for our first ever episode, is conferences, un-conferences and un-unconferences. We've met at an un-conference, right? We met at Play for Agile?
We met a couple of years ago. Yeah, it was
somewhere.
The crazy bits.
Yeah. And we just have been to an un-unconferences, which is this thing that me and a friend totally made up. So if you don't know what that is, we're trying to get into that. And I thought we could talk about how that came up and how it was for all of us. So I started out when I was a software engineer about 10 years back, more than 10 years back. It's a long time ago. I had to go to a conference because my employer at the time had a booth. And they wanted us, obviously, to hang out by the booth and talk to people who came by. And when there were enough people at the booth, we could attend some of the talks. And so I had my first proper conference, and I found it really boring. Because I thought that some of the talks were maybe too basic for what I already knew, and some of the talks I didn't find interesting, and I found it really hard to find a talk that was something that I would want to know about and to learn about. And I kind of stopped even trying to find a conference that fit because I thought they were all boring.
But you were there because of the booth, not because of the topics in the conference?
Yeah, sure. It was right at our doorstep, if you will. But it was a Java conference and I was a Java programmer. So I thought, and I'd never been to a conference. So I thought, yeah, I should start doing this. This is, I'm a professional now. I'm straight out of university. I should start going to conferences like a grown-up. And it didn't click. I kept looking for conferences, but I never found anything that I really found super interesting.
I can't even remember when I went to my first conference. I don't think it was that long ago. I mean, it was while I was still employed, that I do know. But I have honestly no clue what the first conference I ever went with, which one it was. I know of some conferences from way back. And I remember, and sometimes I still do go to conferences because I like to just get inspired. You don't have to do anything other than listen. But for me, most of them were okay. It's not that I don't have your response to, no, this is totally not what I expected or anything. No, it was quite all right for me.
Right. You even organized a conference for a while, didn't you?
Yes, multiple, actually. I think I started in 2012 or 13. I think 12 or 11. Somewhere around that neighborhood, with the DARE conferences in Antwerp.
How do you spell?
I think DARE as in do you dare? DARE. Mm-hmm. And we called ourselves Daredevils because we are. Yes, with horns and all. And we did multiple things, not just conferences. But that's one of the first conferences that I organized, and
what was it about?
Very fond memories of. It's spun off actually from Lean and Kanban Europe or Lean and Kanban Benelux, I think. But then we were the 3 people doing this mostly, sometimes 4. And it was more in what is on the edge of the world out there, what is not hot yet, what might become. Do you dare to step into a world of topics which you have no clue what it's going to be about?
And that sounds very much like you.
One of the guys, he really was good in hunting at good speakers and nice topics.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was really really fun. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I did that for a couple of years, and then I also co-organized Play for Agile for 2 years, last year and the year before.
But that's an unconference, right?
Oh yes, it's an unconference. That's different.
It is different. How
Yeah,
did
yeah,
you?
yeah. It is different.
Play for
Yeah,
Agile was the first unconference you went to, right?
yeah, yeah. Totally as a participant. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. When was that?
totally. 2013.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was blown away. I think as most people are when
Did you
they go
know about?
to for Agile.
Did you know about unconferences and what they are in open space before?
No, and I just was thinking, how did I even come about going here, or why do I know that this was going on? I had no clue. I remember I was the one. I went with 2 colleagues, and I know I was the one who said, "Hey, let's go here."
That's a daredevil in you.
Yeah, it's still in here. It hasn't gone away.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was 2013, and then I skipped a couple of years, and then did a couple more. I usually don't do conferences or unconferences for that matter. Usually just 1 or 2 consecutive years, and then take a break and go to other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I want to get inspired by the world and not just every year the same events. I don't like that too much.
Yeah, yeah. Play for Agile was my first unconference too. I stumbled upon it much like you. I was employed at the time still as a Scrum Master though at that time. That was in, I think, 2017, 2016-ish, something around that time. And my boss had a plan to make all Scrum Masters in the company go to at least one conference a year. And I was bummed because I thought, oh, now I have to go to boring conferences. I don't want to sit there and listen to stuff the entire day and not do anything. I'm a doer. I'm not good at just sitting still and not doing anything. Like at school, I couldn't even sit and listen. I was constantly drawing and doodling stuff because otherwise I just couldn't remember. And it was, so I was trying to look for conferences, agile conferences, and Play for Agile was a bit weird. I'm going to be honest about that. They still had the old website, and it had a photo of people outdoors holding hands, and some of them were wearing like hand knit jackets. Not sure what they were doing. But it said it's about agile and coaching and games, and I'd heard about, I think, Lego Serious Play, or at least using Lego in coaching, and I was very much into that. And I thought, well, if I have to go spend a weekend pick from one of them, sounds interesting. Let's go there. And I had no idea what an unconference was. I was just like, I'll go. Curiosity.
Sure. Sounds different.
Yeah, it definitely sounds different, and that's what got me there. And one probably has to say, for those who don't know Play for Agile or Agile Coach Camp for that matter, which is sort of the same community-ish, it's a special community. It's really special, and I was lucky because when I got there early, I think on Thursday around noonish, I just stumbled into the hotel, looking around, thinking, okay, like, where do I go? And there were a bunch of people sitting at a table with like dyed hair, and they looked not like bankers. They looked very IT, I'm going to say. And I asked them, well, are you guys also going to Play for Agile? And it turned out that was the organizing committee who had arrived early. And apparently I was early too, but I was a very good girl, and I tried to not be late, so I was early. And one of the guys immediately took me under his wing and said, "Is this your first time here? And let me introduce you, and let me warn you, this is a weird community. Don't be weirded out. This is normal, and if you're not comfortable, come talk to me." And I'm like, sure.
All these warning signs.
No, I was sitting there going, well, here's just a bunch of people having lunch, and some of them have colored hair, and some others have very few hair. Why would I be weirded out? And it is a community that I'm gonna say is special. But if you're open to new things, and you should be at an unconference, then it's really great people. I met you there, so.
Hey, that's right. I find it a very warm and open community.
Yes, very
it's
inclusive.
Very inclusive, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel that for the most part, it's a very safe space. Mm-hmm. Like you can go there and talk about your fuck ups and ask stupid questions, and it's very welcomed by the community, and everybody really tries to help each other out, and to share, and to it's not competitive. It's really about, hey, let's do this together. Mm-hmm. And let me help you, and call me anytime, and that kind of thing, and I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, in a lot of the peer-to-peer, I was gonna say.
Yes, in a lot of other communities that I didn't get that. In a lot of other communities, there was like, well, community. It was more like, yeah, is this person taking away my job, or should I bill them if I want to call with them? And I was like, that is so weird to do now. Like when I'm stumbling around in other communities, I'm just constantly like, guys, can we just do this together? It's so weird. But yeah, that was my first play for Agile, and you started it like 4 years before me. There. Did you also go
2013? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was your first impression? I mean, other than being blown away by Un-Conferences?
I found it so weird because there were people hugging, and I know
that's a Rutgersbach.
Like a really tight bond that the people there have with each other. And also, I think for a non-conference, because there is no schedule, or you build the schedule yourself with the participants. And I find that very interesting because we have something to learn from everybody. And I remember the first time that I went, I thought, well, I'm not going to present anything because who am I to tell other people? But it's not about telling other people, it's just sharing how you feel about things, or what your plans are, or where you want to, in case of Play for Agile, want to make a game of maybe, or I don't know, stuff like that.
Yeah, or really ask a question, really.
Each other's opinion, and build together to make it stronger, whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, and it's, you said it's a very tight-knit community in the sense that some people are very close. It doesn't mean you have to be close to every single person in the community.
Not at all.
And it's very open to newcomers. As I said, I arrived as a newbie, and someone just said, "Hey, are you new? Can I help you?" That's what I appreciated a lot. It's not one of those close-knit communities where, as a newbie, you just kind of hanging out, going like, "Yeah, these people really seem to have a great time." It's really not like that. And I don't know if other conferences are much like that, but so Play for Agile and Agile Coach Camp Germany, they both take place in Rutgersbach, and which is near Aschaffenburg, near Frankfurt in Germany. And a community that meets there is really special. And I don't know if other people have other experiences.
Yeah, well, I've been to other conferences as well. A couple of in Spain, in Barcelona, and this year or last year, I don't even remember. This year, I think. Also in Madrid, and last year in Helsinki in Finland. And it's all the same but very different culture style. So there is kind of the country stamp on it. I mean, the culture that you within in the country that shows off in the event itself. Although all events are quite international. Yes. I think actually the one in Rutgersbach, or the Agile Coach Camp, is one of the ones who has the most own country participants.
It has a lot of German people, yes.
Yeah,
but Germany is a big country. I mean,
it is.
It's a big place.
I think that's about maybe 70% or something is German, and the rest is from all over the place.
Yes.
and that's quite nice. I know that the Barcelona, for instance, has its rule. It's also very much smaller. That half of the participants, maximum half, can be Spanish.
Oh wow!
And the rest different.
I didn't know that. Yep.
Yeah.
That makes sure to mix things up, because otherwise you just have excuse me. Otherwise it's just the usual people who hang out at a bar who now hang out at a bar camp.
Yeah.
And you really want this whole new input from other people when you go to a conference or an unconference. So to you, I mean, being blown away, sure, and never having seen that structure and a different vibe to unconferences, certainly agile unconferences. Do you have a preference? Like, do you still go to normal conferences?
Yes.
Yeah. How is it different to you?
But I don't go to agile conferences.
Mm-hmm.
So
which ones do you go to then?
Sorry?
Which ones do you go to then?
Yeah, so last year I went to the Risk and Resilience Festival, they call it, but it was just a conference. And it had to do, other than risk and resilience in a way, is also sort of hinting toward the agile space, but more because my friend, I went with a friend of mine, and she's into the security, so hence the risk of
IT security or physical?
No, physical and IT.
Yes.
But more into the regulations and whatever it takes to secure a place, both physical and digital. And that's really nice. And then years before, I went to the Next Web, which is an awesome conference on new techie stuff. And it's nice. I like to go to conferences just to get inspired. I tend to go almost every year to the Creativity World Forum, which is a 2-day conference. So I went there to, last year it was in Antwerp, year before was in Aarhus in Denmark. I like to go to stuff like that as well, to get other opinions or whatever it is that goes on in the world.
Yeah, I don't go to as many unconferences or conferences as you do, but looking around for whatever sounds interesting.
Yeah. I try to go to about 4 or 5 a year.
Okay.
So a conference or unconference.
So every other month, roughly. Yeah,
roughly. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just to not just keep stirring your own soup, because that's stupid and boring. Exactly. Yeah. I spent the last year doing a lot, on the side when I don't do the agile thing. I do mental training, like coaching athletes and normal people who do sports. And I went to a bunch of conferences or courses or whatever you want to call it, like a day where people have talks and you sit there, much like as a conference, but they don't call it that. And actually also on conferences with sports psychologists. Okay. And that was really interesting because I'd never been to an unconference not done from someone in IT/agile.
Okay.
That was really interesting.
Was it in an open space format?
Yes.
Or different? Okay.
Yes, way different. Way different. No post-its. Like, what? What? I cannot do this if it's not colorful. How do you guys do this with regular paper and just taping it to the window? It was very interesting because that's not something that the community is used to. They're very used to having regular conferences, as you have when you work in academia. And so they're experimenting with the format, but they very much like the exchange. It can get very lonely if you're out there coaching or consulting people all on your own, and all you get is a talk where someone talks to you, and the exchange among peers is limited. I mean, sure, there's intervisions or supervisions that you have to go to, but that is always also limited to the current issues that someone is facing, I would guess. and not so much to, hey, what is out there that's new? What's the new hot stuff that's not hot yet? Like the things that you do. I think they very much appreciate the format of it being much more open and less hierarchical. Some people struggle a lot with politics in academia. Like if you studied at this university, then you can't call that guy, and that doesn't exist in an unconference environment. You know, it's nobody cares where someone's from. It's like, bring your topic, let's talk about it, let's do it together. I like that a lot. Yeah. So that's Un-Conferences. And after the last Play for Agile, I had a call with a friend of ours. His name is Dennis. He's I think he's going to call himself end-to-end coach now. I don't know. He used to call himself Agile coach, at least last time I saw his website. He's also a former programmer and turned Scrum Master, turned Agile coach / trainer, everything. And he plays a lot, Play for Agile Coach Camp. We've met him there. And we got talking after the last Play for Agile because there was a tweet that neither of us can find, where someone had written about their open space / unconference experience as being, oh yeah, the first time you go, it blows you away. And then the second time you go, you attend a session as much as you can, like the whole day, you're just in sessions all the time. And with time, you start hanging out at the bar a little more. And at some point, you just hang out at the bar. I mean, that's kind of one of the points of an unconference, is that the coffee break is one of the most important things about a conference, which is why there's always a coffee bar. So you can always have a coffee break. And frankly, to network and to meet people and to talk. But that person who tweeted that, and again, unfortunately, I can't find the tweet, so sorry if I'm quoting someone without mentioning their name. That person said, well, am I really going to an unconference to hang out at a bar with people who I already know? Is that the point? And well, for that person, at least, he stopped going to unconferences. And Dennis and I got talking about that because it rang true to a certain degree with both of us. But then we value those talks a lot. You know, we're both night owls, and we like to, after dinner, have very informal sessions in the bar. You know, end up having a drink with someone you know very well or someone you've just met, and you talk about anything or even the job. You know, you talk about agile topics or games or whatever, and someone whips out a pen and starts drawing things, and people start sharing things. And those are some of the most interesting sessions I've had actually this year, Play for Agile. And so we started thinking about what if we did an event that was just that, like, and we called it an un-unconference. So our idea was
make it a conference again then.
Yeah, some people say that, but I like to argue that there is more than one dimension, and unconference just negates this one dimension, and we're actually negating 2 dimensions at least. And I have no idea what these dimensions are and whether they're orthogonal, but we decided it was fun to call it an un-unconferences, un-unconference, right? So the idea that Dennis and I came up with was, what if we tried to take all the good stuff from an unconference and make that bigger and take out all the other stuff. So we like unconferences that take more than just one day, because the cool talks usually happen at night at the bar. And we wanted it to be in a remote place, because we had that at Ale, Agile in Europe, last summer. It was in Zurich, and people in the evening would just go to a different, like everybody would go to a different bar. And I've experienced that if you're in a more remote place where there's no place to go but the same hotel bar, the exchange tends to happen more. And so we wanted that. And so we came up with this idea of, I don't know why I came up with Sweden, but I somehow said, let's go rent a house in the middle of nowhere in Sweden, and let's invite a bunch of friends, and let's not have a schedule. Like, I mean, an unconference doesn't have a schedule per se. It doesn't have tracks, but it does, at least the way I've seen it done, often it has like a grid, like here's rooms, and then there's time slots where you can hang your post-it. And certainly if you're like 120 people or 80 people or even probably 20 people or 30 people, you need that kind of structure, because otherwise it's going to be a mess. But we wanted to get rid of that and say, we have as few rules as possible, and let's see what happens. So we did exactly that. We came up with a list of our friends that we thought would be up for an experiment, and sent out an email. And among others, you got that email that said, Dennis and Katrin invite you to an experiment. Do you still remember when you got that email? That was back in March, I believe.
I don't remember the exact time, but I'm always in for goofy stuff, and especially when it comes from people that I like anyway. So I was totally in right when I read it. I didn't question, oh, but then who's coming, or what is it that there is no structure? No, I said, oh, this sounds nice, let's go for it.
Mm-hmm. We said from the very get-go that we wanted this to be an entire week, because I mean, if you're going to travel that far and rent a house and everything, we didn't want it to just be 3 days. We're going for an entire week, and we're going to lock this group in this house and see what happens. Did that scare you away? Like, an entire week, I have to give one of my precious vacation weeks away as a self-employed person? I have to ask my boss.
No way. No.
That was
not at all. I mean, yeah, this is my my ex-mother-in-law always used to say that the visitors and the fish keep fresh for 3 days. So I was a bit okay, a week. But then again, yeah, sure, let's do this thing, and I'm very curious about what will come out, and whomever is going to be there is going to be the right people anyway. So
yeah, that's like one of the. Mm-hmm. So building up to it, did you have any thoughts, any expectations, anything that you were thinking about?
Not real expectations. I think you communicated quite on a regular basis anyway.
Oh, we did.
You know, with the doodle to fill in, okay, which week, and then by filling in the doodle, I could see whomever was invited, because if they were into it, you could see their name.
Yeah.
Because I had no clue up front. And I remember I was a bit hesitant about saying stuff to other people about it, because I thought, I have no clue who's invited. So am I gonna, you know, step on some toes if I tell, hey, did you get this email? No, like, what email? So yeah, that was
a difficult decision actually for us.
Yeah, I can understand.
Because it's if you're doing this kind of thing, Dennis and I, we had no idea if anyone would spend a week.
Yeah.
Like it's people have kids and a job, and you don't make money for an entire week if you sign up for this kind of thing. And we also thought, okay, we want people who are going to make this happen. Like, there's really no structure at all, and we want to trust people. We want to invite people who we trust to make this happen. Like, if something's like, oh, whoopsie, we're out of toast bread, then someone will pick up the damn car keys and go buy some toast bread, and not sit there and complain about Dennis and me not organizing enough toast bread. And I know that most people probably would be like that in an agile community. At least that's my expectation, that people are kind of self-organized. But if you're attending an event, sometimes it can be different, and we wanted just to be sure that whoever would be coming could be sure that we'd only invite people who could make this happen. Like, okay, it's an experiment, but trust us, we only invited people who we trust to somehow figure this out. And I hope we made a good choice. We also had to make some choices. Like, it is, initially we thought about 12 people might be a maximum, and that is a tight space for an entire week, and you can't really go anywhere. It was really in the middle of nowhere in Sweden. So you have to make some decisions if you know that 2 people don't get along, or like might not get along.
That's going to be tough if you're together for a week. I mean, we
For
do a lot
everybody.
of social deduction games. And this is like a real life social deduction game. If you put people in there who don't necessarily hate each other's guts, but don't get along too well, it's going to be trouble, I think.
Yes, it's definitely also a social experiment to a certain degree. And it is stressful. I mean, even the group of people we did feel tension during the week because people are different and it would be boring if they weren't. But we had to make a choice on who we would be inviting. And that's not necessarily saying that we don't like this one person that we didn't invite, but we just made our best guess at who we would invite to try this out with. And so we tried to keep it sort of to ourselves-ish. And we also didn't want to get approached by people who say, hi, you have this experiment. Can I be part of it? Mm-hmm. And then having to say like, kind of no. Maybe this was going to happen if we do it again. But right, so Dennis and I talked about this. I wasn't even going to do it. I just came up with the idea like,
why not?
I don't know. I had this idea, and I mean, I have a lot on my plate, and I was like, it would be so cool if, and then Dennis was like looking up houses in Sweden, and I was like, so we're doing this? We are? Really?
It's
okay. By myself, I never would have done it. It sounded like, who would come to a thing that I invite to? Why would? Yes, you would. We were surprised by some of the people's reactions who were like, sure, I'm coming, this is awesome. And we were like, okay, so maybe we're onto something here. Sure. Yeah. So organizing it is really simple, and I think easier than organizing a conference for sure. You rent a house, you make sure people pay some money so you don't go bankrupt because you have to pay for the house in advance. You rent enough cars to get from the airport to there, and then you make sure everybody brings their booze from the duty free, because it turns out booze is really expensive if you buy it in the official stores that you have to buy them from in Sweden or Norway for that matter. So that's what we did. That's all the organizing we did, and everything else was up to you guys. So how was it for you? We've just come back. It's now mid-end of August. We did this in summer in Sweden. And how was it for you?
Totally a thing I would definitely do again next week if I had the opportunity. No, I mean, really, I find it very nice to have meaningful and deep connections that with most of the people you already have, but it's different when you're living together for a week. I mean, that's what you do actually. And then I think because we had a midterm retrospective as well, I found that very useful. Since it is was an experiment, you really need to go fast in the feedback loop and see, okay, is there something that we can do now to change to make it even better for us for the next couple of days. I think that was really helpful, and also just to talk about the structure of the setting in itself, and not so much about the talks or anything.
Talks, you make it sound like we had a stage. We had a porch.
We had a stage. We had multiple stages.
We had a murder room.
I find that so cool. Yeah.
We were in this mansion that was awesome. It had a beautiful library with old books, like you would expect a mansion with old books with a proper library. Books were all in Swedish, so I couldn't read any of them, but it looked cool. And another room that we, for some reason, called the murder room. It was great.
Because one of them made like a murder room, like a crime scene.
Yes.
It's really nice, with the tape sticking to the floor where a body was, and
knocked over a bunch of plants.
Yeah, it was really nicely staged.
Yes.
Really, really nice. And a huge backyard. I mean, that's also
awesome.
A good stage for
yes.
whatever it is to do, whatever you want to do.
We were really lucky. It was
throwing frisbees or hanging out, or
it was. We were really lucky that the weather was really nice, It rained like one night, and we were kind of grateful for it because it was hot before that. Other than that, we really could go outside anytime and enjoy the sun. And that's something I really enjoyed about this format that we had. People did pitch sessions. We had this one fixed point in the day, usually at lunch, or I'm going to say at noon. And people were definitely eating at that time. I'm not going to judge on whether that was breakfast or lunch. So we had this fixed point in the day where everybody would be in the kitchen, so you could actually announce something to the whole group. And people did pitch sessions and say, hey, here's this topic I want to talk about. And it wasn't just, hey, I'm going to throw frisbees. I mean, there was that too. And we wanted that. We wanted also to have fun sessions or games or whatever it is that people enjoy doing in their free time. But there were also really, really interesting topics to talk about. And it was just, hey, I'm going to be in the library at 3 and this is going to be my topic. And people showed up and we had some really great discussions.
I think the mansion has never seen so many post-its everywhere. I mean, also I kind of liked where we had the lunch and the dinner set up just on the kitchen cabinets was so full. Okay, this is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the whole week, and then divided in 2 sections for lunch and dinner. And,
it was the first in the first 5 seconds that we were there, that went up. It was funny. Like it really made me laugh because it was a doing done, and then we had successfully done and successfully undone on the kitchen cabinets, really, and that went up really in the first 15 minutes that we even were in the house. And the landlord came over and she came into the kitchen, like talking to us about, are you happy with the house? Is there anything we can help you with? And there were all these post-its already up on the walls. And it did not get better throughout the week. We left up all the post-its from all the sessions. And I hope that we took all of them down when we left.
I think so. Yeah.
But that was great. It was very inspiring to have all these post-its hanging around, really, because if one door got too post-it-ish, you just went to a different place. And we had sessions on the porch and just would put post-its to a window. And so you walk through the house and you get reminded of all the sessions, and you could have follow-up sessions.
Especially that. I like that a lot, actually, because I have a visual memory. So by the time, the stickies itself or what it has on it has less of a meaning for me. But if it hangs there where it hang when we had the conversation, then I remember what's on the sticky anyway, without actually reading it. So I find it very useful that it was around all week where every session was, that these post-its were kept there, actually.
Yeah, it was a great thing. It turned out really great. Like I think we talked on the first night or a second night, and people were already then, after one day, they said, oh, I want to do this twice a year and this is great and best thing I've ever done. And I was like, how did we get it kind of right the first time around?
It's cool, isn't it? Yeah.
It's scary. It's like, how's it going to be the next time? It's gonna be worse, probably. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to do it again, but probably, because the feedback that we got was really enthusiastic.
I mean, why not? That would be my question. Why not do it again? I mean, it's going to be different anyway.
Sure. We're not going to be a 3 hours drive from the next airport.
Also, we had car sessions as well. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Some people had to leave in like during the week, and we drove them to the airport in a very nice Tesla Model 3 that I might have gotten a little bit excited about. Tiny bit. So that's 6 hours that you spend in the car. It's 3 hours to the airport, and then you drop off the person, and then you get back in the car and drive 3 hours back to the mansion. And we had sessions in the car and sessions with people on a video call, like someone who'd already gone home. We called them on a video call and had a session with them. The Metrospective. Yep, he was part of. And that worked surprisingly well. As a coach, I'm not that much of a fan of remote work. We're on a video call right now, but that worked out surprisingly well. and that was great fun. Yeah. So what's if we're talking about doing this or something like this again, or maybe someone listens to this one day and says, "Hey, I want to do an un-unconference." What do you think of the format? If it has a format, even?
Does it have a format? I think it's nice that we started with as minimal rules as possible, which was only the noon check-in, let's say, and I don't know if there was anything else actually. That just might have been it. And that gradually also, depending on the group of people that you have together, you sort of feel if there's a need for more rules or more of a frame where things lie in. Because if you don't need it, don't make it. Just only start making the rules when you need them. And if you're with a group of people that you trust, and like you said, have the maturity to speak up and say, okay, this is what I need, not finding it silly or being judged on what you have to say anyway, then make the rule. Because letting go of rules is so much different than making them and making them together.
Yeah, we're not used to that. I was just thinking, if we, I don't know if this is going to happen, but if we were to do this again with the exact same group of people, what's your hunch? Would you start with 0 rules and see if different rules pop up the next time around? Or would you go with, oh, we came up with some rules for this group of people, let's keep the old ones?
No, I'd start with the check-in rule only.
Just one rule.
Yeah.
And maybe...
maybe sooner evaluate, okay, is there something else which we might need? Or maybe be very deliberate about, okay, which part of our process of dealing with each other is different than it was before. Because if you go with the same group of people, you'll start comparing, and I think that would be a shame, but it's inevitable, I think.
People do that?
Yeah. But I would start with just the one rule.
And the rule that there should be, we called it a retrospective because it was in the middle of everything. It was on Tuesday. On Tuesday. On Tuesday, we had a retrospective in the middle of everything. And that was really helpful. Because otherwise you have like a waterfall. In the end, you learn a lot that you would have needed to apply a couple of days ago. And that I would definitely do.
Yeah, but I would.
I don't know if it's I don't know if that's a rule or something, but I would definitely want that. I would want that to happen.
I don't think it's a rule. It will happen anyway.
Yeah, someone should propose it.
It could be on Monday, could be on Tuesday, whatever it is.
Yes. So you think if people are mature enough, someone will pitch it anyway?
Yes.
Hopefully that will happen. Or if it doesn't happen, that's something to reflect on.
Yeah, but it will. I mean,
if people are mature enough, this is something that I don't see happening with people who have not a lot of experience with unconferences and self-organization. Like people who are used to being given a schedule or being given a list of things to do and a list of rules, maybe don't dare speaking up and saying, hey, we should actually talk about this.
It depends on the person, I think.
Yes, but that's something you need to consider when you get a group of people like that together. And maybe if you have doubts, then you have doubts, and then you put it up yourself from the very get-go.
When we did this end of July, beginning of August, I did one of my own experiments early July, actually. And I called it a retreat. It was a long weekend. Me and 2 other people, and we each invited 3 friends, not from the agile world, but having some sort of an agile mindset, or whatever it is, mindset that you would call it. And we had no rules at all, not even like a check-in or whatever, and everybody brought what everybody brought, and was very deep discussions and learning from each other. Really nice. A bit more leisure there, but it was to the beach. So I don't think, because these people were not experienced at all at unconferences. They didn't even know. Most of them didn't even know what that was anyway.
No, but as a
thing.
person, someone who would speak up, and that's, it doesn't have to be to do with being childish, but when I say mature, I just mean that someone who's confident to speak up if something's not right and says, hey, we should do this, and
I think if you have a space, a safe space,
yes,
in the group, then it's okay anyway.
Yeah.
And of course, there are some people who tend to speak more than others or take more initiative than others, and that's fine. You also need that. That's just regular group dynamics, I think.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So yeah, I would totally be in to do this again. This was the best. I'm gonna call it a vacation, because to a certain degree it was. I'm a night owl, so I slept in every day. But it was fun, and I would do it again in a minute. Like, I could go next week. My clients wouldn't like that, but I would.
Yeah, maybe I have something there as well. Yeah.
But that's something I definitely would like to do again, and I like the not lack, but the absence of structure, which probably also works only if there's not that many people. So
which is also in a structure itself. I mean, it's
yes,
okay.
yes. The absence of format is a format in itself. And so if anyone wants to do an Un-Unconference, I recommend it to them. I can only say, try it. Get a bunch of people who are up for an experiment. We did it. And who you trust, obviously. Or you could do an experiment and get together with people who you don't trust that much and see how that goes. If you're... Where's your
daredevil?
Where's your daredevil? I wouldn't do it because I'd go bonkers.
I don't know if me or other people will live to see the week.
Yeah, I like to play werewolves, but I'm a villager.
Me too, always.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I can only recommend the experiment, and sure, if someone wants to share their thoughts on this podcast that we might be doing, or on Un-Unconferences, or anything else, hit us up.
Or just some general feedback of how you liked it.